I'm a PhD candidate at Harvard, and I'm about to tell you something that might be a little bit controversial, but it's a truth I see every day. The university, as we know it, is dying. The model that has dominated for the last century is crumbling under the weight of its own outdated structures, and it's starting to feel like the unstoppable rise of artificial intelligence might be its final decisive blow. But this isn't a eulogy. It's a call to arms. Because in the ashes of the old, I believe we have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to build something better, something more human. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and let's get started. For decades, we've been told a story. Go to a good university, get a degree, and you'll be set for life. But for a growing number of us, that promise rings hollow. We see a system riddled with problems. For example, there's the tenure trap. The very system designed to protect academic freedom, tenure, has in many cases created a class of faculty who are incentivized to prioritize scholarly production over the very students they are meant to teach. And this is no fault of their own. This is the way the system was built. This often leaves the crucial work of undergraduate education to a growing army of adjunct faculty. Then there's the adjunct crisis. These adjuncts, who now teach a significant percentage of courses in the US, are often underpaid, overworked, and lack job security. This creates a precarious and unsustainable teaching environment. Of course, there's also administrative bloat. We've witnessed an explosion in administrative spending. Universities have invested heavily in extravagant gyms, lavish student centers, and a ballooning bureaucracy. Comforting the body and mind, yes, but at the expense of the core educational mission. This administrative bloat, as some scholars have termed it, drives up tuition and diverts resources away from the classroom. And now we're starting to see potentially an American brain drain. Restrictive immigration policies and a changing global landscape means that some of the brightest minds are choosing to study and build their futures elsewhere, taking their intellectual property and innovative potential with them. What are we left with all of this? We are left with a system that's expensive, often inefficient, and increasingly disconnected from the needs of the 21st century world. And then came AI. I was a teaching fellow at Harvard when ChatGPT was released to the world in November 2022, and I saw its immediate impact within the classroom. Now, instead of shaming my students or wagging my finger at them, my teaching course head did something really amazing, and I recommend everyone do it. She put our readings through ChatGPT for the week and generated the summaries and assignments. And during class, we sat down with the students and went through every single thing that ChatGPT missed, our learning goals and objectives for the week, the nuances of how to interpret the specific text, and all of the amazing meaning that is behind what we were reading for that week. We have to take this technology seriously because its development is only increasing. Artificial intelligence isn't just another technological advancement. It's a force that is fundamentally reshaping our economy and what it means to be a valuable contributor. Repetitive tasks, data analysis, even complex problem solving in technical fields are increasingly being handled by AI. You might think this puts a premium on STEM degrees, and in some ways it does, but listen to the architects of this new world. Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, has spoken about a future where AI handles much of the technical work, making people skills like communication, leadership, and the ability to connect with others more critical than ever. Then we have Mustafa Suleyman, who's the co-founder of DeepMind and the CEO of Microsoft AI. In his book, The Coming Wave, he emphasizes the need for a new kind of leadership and ethical framework to navigate the profound societal changes that AI will bring. And he still remains quite optimistic. In an interview with ChatGPT, he said, "This is really the year of the social sciences hacker. We need people from diverse backgrounds, diverse walks of life, diverse studies to be involved in this AI movement. We cannot allow just a small group of people to dictate what the AI future will look like." And in fact, Microsoft just launched an initiative called Microsoft Elevate. And here's what the president of Microsoft said during that announcement. Quote, "As we look ahead, we must ask ourselves, are we building machines to replace people or to help people thrive? Are we trying to create AI that will outsmart humanity or elevate it?" At Microsoft, we're putting a clear stake in the ground. We believe in advancing AI by putting people first. This isn't just about being nice. It's about the very real economic demand for skills that AI at its core cannot replicate, creativity, critical thinking, ethical reasoning, and deep interdisciplinary understanding. This is where the liberal arts and the social sciences and the humanities come roaring back. I highly recommend you read my AI manifesto, The Revenge of the Renaissance Thinkers, linked in the description box below. I believe these people are the original generalists, those trained to think critically across domains, to understand human nature, and to grapple with complex, ambiguous problems, are now poised to be at the forefront of shaping how this powerful technology is integrated into our lives. And honestly, they're oftentimes more than just generalists. They have specialties in various different fields and know how to talk across different disciplines to get real solutions to complex problems. So, how do we build a university that prepares students for this future I'm describing? We need a radical reimagining, and I believe the answer lies in a return to a more classical, human-centered model of education, supercharged for the modern world. To understand where I believe we need to go, we have to look back at where we've been. So, let's start with the medieval university. It primarily focused on theology, law, and medicine, training an elite class. And then we had the Renaissance University, a flowering of humanism with a focus on classical texts and the development of the well-rounded individual. This is where the tutorial system, a cornerstone of personalized learning, gained prominence. And then we have the Modern Research University. Born in the 19th century, it emphasized scientific discovery and specialized knowledge, leading to the system of majors and departments that we have today. Each model served its time, but our time demands a new synthesis. My proposition is this: a decentralized, mission-driven, and tutorial-based model of higher education. If we are going to be prepared for this new AI economy and AI-driven world we're living in, I believe we need to reimagine a new university. This is the mode of higher education that I believe will best position us to be prepared for this new world and economy we are living in. I was fortunate to attend the University of Chicago and partake in its renowned core curriculum. It's a series of interdisciplinary courses that make up about a third of your undergraduate education, exposing you to foundational texts and ideas in the humanities, social sciences, and natural sciences. It was transformative, and I always say attending the University of Chicago is the best decision I have made in my 20s. I believe we need to go further. The first 2 years of a university education should be a U-Chicago style core, making up 50% of the curriculum. This would create a shared intellectual foundation, teaching all students how to think, not just what to think. We can look to thinkers who have long advocated for this kind of broad-based learning, such as Mortimer J. Adler in this influential book. So, let's go a little bit more into this vision. Instead of declaring a major, what if students declared a mission? What problem do you want to solve by the time you graduate? This isn't just a semantic change I'm talking about. It reframes the purpose of education from accumulating credits to developing the skills and knowledge needed to tackle a real world challenge. Some challenges which are quite immediate and need to be solved as quickly as possible. We need to stop thinking about careers and more about serving communities. For example, a mission in combating climate change through policy and technology is far more dynamic and interdisciplinary than just, for example, a major in environmental science. Don't get me wrong, students should definitely learn about the histories of these disciplines as to be better informed about how previous thinkers understood the world. But I truly believe we should be orienting students towards the real world challenges that are currently plaguing all of us. So, how do we build a university that prepares students for this future? The answer isn't a simple reform, it's a radical reconception. It requires us to question the very grammar of schooling. And to do that, we need to turn to one of the 20th century's most profound and provocative educational thinkers, Ivan Illich. I hope I said that right. I haven't taken German in a while. Okay, in his seminal 1971 book, Deschooling Society, which you can find here, he delivered a devastating critique that is more relevant today than ever. He argued that we have confused schooling with learning. We've packaged education into a product, a standardized commodity delivered by a monopolistic institution, the school, which then certifies who is and isn't educated. His central argument is that the institution of the school does more than just teach subjects. It imparts a hidden curriculum that conditions us for a life of passive consumption and institutional dependence. It teaches us that learning is something that is done to us in a special building for a set number of hours by a credentialized expert. It teaches us to defer our judgment to authority and to value the certificate more than the competence. This sounds a little bit familiar, right? Well, it's the very DNA of the modern university system I've just critiqued. Emphasis on degrees over skills, the passive model of the lecture hall, these are all symptoms of the schooled mindset he has identified. He actually warned that this system would inevitably become bloated, ritualized, and disconnected from genuine lived learning. But he didn't just critique, he proposed an alternative. He envisioned a decentralized society where learning was a self-directed, lifelong pursuit facilitated by what he called learning webs or opportunity networks. These were four distinct networks. Number one, reference services to educational objects. Think of libraries, museums, laboratories, and even factories made accessible to learners who want to engage with real things in the real world. Number two, skills exchanges. A system where people can just list the skills they have and the skills they want to learn and allow them to match up for peer-to-peer teaching. Number three, peer matching, a network that helps people find others who share their learning interests, to form study groups, and to collaborate on intellectual projects. And number four, reference services to educators at large. Imagine a directory of professionals, scholars, and artisans who would make themselves available to mentor and guide learners on their journey. So look at these frameworks I just outlined. This is a vision for a deeply human, community integrated, and decentralized model of in-person learning. It's the philosophical foundation for the very model I'm proposing in this video. The 2 years of a foundational core curriculum on a central campus provides the intellectual launchpad. But the final 2 years, I would call this the mission phase. It's a direct 21st century application of ILIC's learning webs. Instead of remaining on a central campus, students would enter these networks. Their mission would guide them to, for example, educational objects, accessing labs, archives, or companies in a city relevant to their mission, or skills exchanges, learning specific skills, coding, grant writing, public speaking from peers and practitioners in their pod. Or even think of peer matching. The learning pod itself is the peer match, a small group of intellectual collaborators united by a common purpose. And finally, think about educators at large. Their faculty mentor acts as a master educator, guiding their intellectual journey. This isn't just about job training. It's about dismantling the artificial wall between town and gown, between learning and living. This wall must come down. And Illich isn't alone in this intellectual tradition. He stands alongside thinkers like Paulo Freire, who in his masterpiece, Pedagogy of the Oppressed, critiqued the banking model of education. This is the idea that students are empty vessels and the teacher's job is to deposit information into them. Freire argued for a problem-posing education where teachers and students learn together by critically engaging with the world. My proposal for a mission, not a major, is a direct implementation of Freire's problem-posing model. And I'm not the first person to suggest a mission-based education as opposed to a major-based education. It transforms students from passive recipients of knowledge into active agents, working to solve a problem they care about. This entire vision is a move away from the industrial model of education. The industrial model required conformity, standardization, and batching students by age, all designed to produce, in many ways, compliant workers for a bygone era. The AI era requires the exact opposite. This is what I'm arguing. It demands adaptability, creativity, and self-direction. It requires an education that is personalized, not standardized, active, not passive, and fundamentally human, not institutional. We need an education that, as the American educator John Haught has advocated in his work on schooling, trusts the learner's innate curiosity and their ability to direct their own path. So, when I propose a decentralized tutorial-based model, I'm not just inventing something new. I'm calling for a return to a more timeless and effective form of education, one that was understood during the Renaissance and has been championed by the most insightful critics of modern schooling. It's a model built not on institutional authority, but on human connection and the intrinsic drive to learn. So, What is the role of AI in this new model? Instead of being a tool for cheating or a source of anxiety for administrators, AI can handle the administrative burdens, the repetitive tasks, and the information gathering that bogs down both students and faculty. AI should free us to be our most creative, insightful, and deeply human thinkers we can be. It can give us the time and space to study, to learn, and to connect in a distraction-free environment, the very thing we need to navigate the complexities of the future. So, this isn't a fully formed blueprint. This is just an intellectual exercise, a thought experiment to imagine new ways of educating in the 21st century. It's a starting point for a necessary conversation. The challenges are immense, but the potential is even greater. I truly believe that. We are at a crossroads. We can either cling to the vestiges of a failing system, or we can seize this moment to build a new model of higher education that is more equitable, more engaging, and more relevant to the challenges and opportunities of the AI-driven world we're all living in now. A university that is not just about the acquisition of knowledge, but about the cultivation of wisdom. I'm describing a university that is not just about preparing for a job, but about preparing for a life of purpose and connection. Once again, this is just a thought experiment and just a call for all of us within higher education and beyond to think about ways we can educate in this new future that we're all walking into. Thank you for considering this argument, considering this video essay. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know down below. What are your thoughts on this? What is the future of higher education? How should we be preparing the next generation and even people today for this new AI economy? I would love to hear from you. All right, back to writing my dissertation. See you guys.